Hey everyone, I'm Michaela Vernava with the all-new Toyota RAV4 Hybrid here at Fenway Park, home of the Boston Red Sox. America's oldest MLB ballpark is loaded with history, lore, and mystique, but it didn't get to the ripe old age of 104 without undergoing its fair share of makeovers and renovations. Thanks to the all-new Toyota RAV4 Hybrid, it's time to know the unknown about the evolution of Fenway Park. While Fenway Park's antiquity is still very much intact today, this beloved ballpark had some noticeable differences when it first opened back in 1912.
At that time, Fenway looked much different than it does now. I mean, there was no Green Monster, for example.
In its earliest years, Fenway Park was nowhere near being the hitter's haven it is today. The center field wall was a whopping 500 feet away from home plate, making home runs nearly impossible. The proof? In 1917, Babe Ruth notched just one homer at Fenway.
The next year, Babe led the league in home runs with 11. None of them hit at Fenway Park.
The 1920s were far from roaring in Red Sox Nation. The team was a perennial last-place finisher, and Fenway Park felt the burn. The park's third base bleachers were decimated by a blazing fire in 1926, and due in large part to the team's lack of productivity, cash-strapped owner Bob Quinn let the damage lie in ruin, which affected the field of play.
There were times where outfielders would go behind the grandstand and catch foul balls. I mean, you laugh at that possibility today, but that happened.
To make matters worse, the Red Sox organization was held hostage to their rival New York Yankees in an interesting way. Previous owner Harry Frazee had borrowed $350,000 from the Bronx Bombers.
Which essentially meant the Yankees held the mortgage on Fenway Park until 1933 when Tom Yawkey built the team. Now digest that for a second.
When Yawkey purchased the Red Sox, Fenway Park finally underwent a much-needed renovation. Remarkably, Yawkey's $1 million transformation of the ballpark was the second biggest contracting project happening in Depression-era Boston.
One of the huge changes he made is that he replaced the wooden bleachers out in the outfield with concrete and all, and that also was when he built the 37-foot-high structure that we have come to know and love as the Green Monster.
It was in 1947 that the interior of Fenway Park was given its green identity as it was painted with the look we know and love today. And it stood the test of time for decades. But by the close of the century, Fenway was becoming economically obsolete, and CEO John Harrington almost demolished Boston's prized park.
I remember as a reporter at the time for the Boston Globe, seeing the models of what was going to be the new Fenway. Those models incorporated a lot of elements of what we have today.
There was an outpouring of fan opposition of the destruction of Fenway Park, and luckily that was a sentiment shared by Harrington's successors and current club owners, John Henry, Tom Werner, and Larry Lucchino. When they purchased the ball club in 2001, they promised to keep the team at Fenway Park. Instead of tearing it down, the new ownership group invested in a 10-year plan to refresh and renovate Fenway Park.
First of all, there was a willingness to spend in the neighborhood of $300 million over a span of a decade or more to improve the ballpark. I mean, creating space where there had never been space before.
The revamped Fenway Park now has the luxury of modern amenities while still captivating the masses with its old historic charm.
I think for all of us, certainly the players are the show, but for many of us, Fenway Park is still the star.
Thanks for joining us, and be sure to check back on NESN.com to see how far we take the all-new Toyota RAV4 Hybrid.